প্রশান্ত স্যার,
Start the program. Prashant,
স্যার প্রশান্ত স্যার একটু লেফট করে গেছেন, হয়তো এক্ষুনি জয়েন করবেন বলে দিচ্ছি।
Yes, I'm there. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Oh, yes, I was on another link. It was an incorrect link that I was waiting on, and I was waiting for permission to enter the room. Namaskar. Mr. Prashant, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Shall we commence now? Shall we commence?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Wait, sir. Wait. Good evening, everyone. I, Prashant Kumar Sharma, an assistant professor at the Department of Political Science, Bidhan Chandra College, Risla, affiliated to the University of Calcutta, and on behalf of the Department of Political Science, warm-heartedly welcome you all to this national webinar on role of digital media in the era of ideological differences, organized by the Department of Political Science in collaboration with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, IQAC, Bidhan Chandra College, Risla. Our distinguished speaker for today's webinar is Mr. Dibyanshu Pandey, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, who is with us now, and our head of the institution, Dr. Ramesh Kaur, Vice Principal, and our head of the Department of the Political Science, Professor Devdas De sir, have already joined us. May I now kindly request to our head of the institution, Dr. Ramesh Kaur, Vice Principal, to deliver a formal welcome address. Sir, now floor is yours.
thank you, Prashant. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected distinguished research person, honorable dignitaries, dear colleague, research scholar, beloved organizing committee conveners, technical advisors, IQC coordinators, NEC coordinators, and today program coordinators and affectionate students. It is really a great pleasure and privilege to be present in the national webinar organized by the Department of Political Science in collaboration with IQAC. Being the head of the institute, I must congratulate the teachers of the Department of Political Science, especially HOD Professor Dept and Professors Prashant Kumar Sharma, as they have taken initiative to organize the national webinar. First of all, I, on behalf of the institute, must welcome the respected research person, Mr. Dibyanshu Pandey, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. I would be immensely grateful as respond to our invitation despite his busy schedule. I freely and frankly express my pleasure that we have got some highly energetic and enthusiastic faculty members, and they have been trying their level best to arrange the various thought-provoking seminars on the virtual platform. I do hope that our participant would reap a sound harvest from the day's discussion. I firmly believe that the day's discussion will be interesting and interactive one. The survey of the day's speech and reciprocal discussion, I do hope, would further illumine the minds of the teachers and taught. I wish a warm success of the day's webinar. Once again, thanking you all. Namaskar.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for your welcome address. It really means a lot for all of us. And before we proceed further, I want to mention that if you have any questions arising out of the discussion on today's stated theme, please kindly put your questions in the chat box. At the end of the questions, during the question session, that questions will be taken to the speaker and that would be addressed one by one. May I now request to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Dibyanshu Pandey, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, to kindly enlighten us on the role of digital media in the era of ideological differences. Sir, I think 45 minutes time would be sufficient for the lecture. Sir, now the floor is yours. Please.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible to everyone alike. First of all, I express my gratitude for having this privilege to speak before such enlightened and intellectual gathering. This topic, the topic that we are going to discuss, it is not going to be a lecture. It is going to be a dialogue, and it becomes immensely important when we talk about such issue. It becomes immensely important that intellectuals are on the same page and they discuss and then they come out and have a conclusion out of it. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is the role of digital media in today's era of ideological difference. Since this program is being conducted by Department of Political Science, I wouldn't transgress rather into the domain of discussing what ideology means. However, it is important that we understand before we proceed that ideology in simple terms would be our belief, and our belief, I think that encompasses everything. So every individual in the country has his own belief, and that comes from upbringing, their religious background, their cultural background, their socio-economic background. So when we talk about ideology, there are different aspects, and every ideology, I mean, today when we see that it is polarized between right and left. Without getting into what is right and what is left, we here at this gathering, we need to understand that unless and until we discuss things without prejudice, we will not be able to contribute anything to the society. And moreover, when it pertains to academicians, when it pertains to research scholars, when it pertains to people who are in academics and who are the influencers of the society, it becomes immensely important that the subject is looked upon without prejudice. So the first thing, what I would request is that when we discuss things, let us keep everything in the parking lot and look at things from a very neutral point of view. Before we proceed, I would like to share a video without getting into what ideology, what background, what is the objective of that video. We should hear what that video states, and thereafter we will proceed further. Am I audible? I'm unable to share the screen.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
No, do I need permission from the coordinator to share the screen? I would like to share the screen. I'm unable to do that.
Okay, of course. Please share. Please share.
Yes, sir. You can click the present now button
Yeah, I have
to
done that,
the
but
right.
it says that I cannot present. Is it? Can't share your screen. Prashantji,
Yes, sir.
this is not permitting me to share the screen. Is it from your end?
Khalik sir,
No, actually, permission.
are you getting any notification?
Can you send the link? I will share.
Okay,
Actually,
but all right. Where should I share the link?
the chat box.
Uh, just give me a moment. Is it sharing now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
I'll play the video. Please listen to it carefully.
को लूट रहे हैं और
आपको
बदलाव
लगता
ही
है
एक
कि
सत्य
लेफ्ट को बदलने की जरूरत है इस वक्त? जो लेफ्ट की पार्टियां हैं उनकी अपनी जबान से लेकर राजनीति करने के तौर तरीके तक उनमें भी वही आदतें आ गई हैं, संघर्ष की आदतें चली गई हैं।
देखिए, उनके कंटेंट पे कोई बात करने की जरूरत नहीं, उनका कंटेंट शानदार है। फॉर्म में जरूर जो है एक बदलाव की जरूरत है। मसलन कल इस बात को मैंने कहा, लेफ्ट के लोग बहुत अच्छी तरह से बात करते हैं, ईमानदार हैं, नेक हैं, लेकिन उनका पहुंच नहीं है लोगों तक, क्योंकि आज पहुंच न्यू मीडिया बन चुकी है।
Was it audible?
Yes, sir.
All right. So there were two terms. There were two terms that has been used in it, irrespective of who is speaking this. Because like when a person speaks from a political platform, from my perspective, it is not the individual. Every person who is into politics are alike from my standpoint. So irrespective of the person and the party the person belongs to, there are 2 points that we need to mark. One is content. The gentleman said the content, and the second was new media. And the third point that was made was that the reach out. So these are the three things that we need to understand in the context of ideological differences. Now, the first thing, content. Content is something that is collected for propagation. In simple terms, if we understand, it is a collection of certain literature, certain material that can be shared with people. Secondly, reach out. Unless and until an idea is propagated in the society, it is not going to influence the society at all. So that becomes reach out. So, and the third point, the most important thing is new media. So new media, we need to understand what is actually new media. Today, when we are discussing about digital media is the new media. New media is something that uses digital devices, uses communication technology, and it contains the multimedia files, the videos, the audios, the podcast. Podcast is that we hear. It is a voice recording that is shared with people. So new media and old media, when we compare new media with the old media comprises of television, it comprises of radio and newspaper. So in today's time, if we see, we hardly get time to watch television. We hardly spend any time reading newspapers, and radio is almost obsolete. So old media is anyways is as good as being obsolete. Now, when it comes to new media revolves around our tablets, our mobile phones, and our computer. So if we understand new media, today we are spending most of the time using our mobile phones. Now we also need to understand what is actually this new media doing. If we recollect our childhood, we used to have newspaper, which used to contain the facts, that facts of what was going on in the country or like on in this world, and there used to be an editorial. Editorial contained the opinion of the editors or experts or the subject matter experts, and we used to go there and read the opinions and try to understand a particular subject. With the advent of new media, things have changed. We are not exposed to facts. What we see is purely opinion. Every digital website, each and every digital website that claims to be a news portal is actually not a news portal. It is basically opinion portal. Now, let me take you back to what is the purpose of what is going on. The purpose is basically to influence people, be it any political party or any ideology. Basically, the objective is to influence people. Now, there are only two ways to influence. The first way is to serve the facts before you, using which you can form an opinion and you can decide how you have to proceed and how you have to participate in the democracy. The second way is to serve you with a ready-made opinion mixed along with the facts, so that it influences your thoughts completely and you have a ready-made argument. Now, the second thing is much easier for every individual. Everybody wants to everybody wants to participate in debates in drawing room or elsewhere at tea stall. So everybody needs ready-made argument. So this psychology is basically being leveraged by each and every corporate who is trying to influence people. It is being leveraged by political parties. It is being leveraged by every ideology in this country. Opinion, ready-made opinion mixed with facts, which sounds to be very convincing, is served before you, and you get convinced that, oh, this is how it is happening. Now there are different aspects of it. Opinion is fine. If we get a ready-made opinion, if we know that we are reading a ready-made opinion, and if we read it from critique point of view, then we will be able to analyze that what we are being served with is correct or not. But that doesn't happen generally. And the reason behind that is that most of the people, they casually read. When we go on the Facebook, we go on Twitter, or we casually go on Google, we the news items, it comes based on our choice. So basically what happens, we don't pay much attention and gradually we keep on reading an article. Now technology plays its role. There are cookies. I would not get into in the technicality of what cookies is, but what happens is cookies is basically a software that gets installed on your browser, and it gets all the information, your how you are navigating on the browser, how you are opening various websites. Everything is captured through cookies. So what happens if you are visiting a website? The website knows from which website you have come to that particular website, and when you leave that website, that particular website knows which website you're going on. It may not be as an individual they are able to identify you, how you are traveling, but yes, every individual is converted into numbers. So a website, a company which is running a website knows in which geographical area, because your mobile has a location that is switched on. You use GPS. So location wise also geotagging can be done. If a person is reading a particular news item in a particular geographical location, the company knows that in this particular area, people read these kind of contents, and this is how things are running in that particular place. So, although we do not know what exactly is happening, but somebody knows for sure how I am acting, what am I doing. So, privacy is not at all there in your mobile phones when it comes to accessing various websites. This is essential. I need to mention this because everything works collectively. A technical part wherein when you go and browse a website, uh, what happens, there is a notice that comes up and it says that it will make your experience better. You must have come across cookies policies of various websites where it clearly says that click OK, we will install cookies and we will make your experience better. What is that experience? Experience is that website figures out what is my interest. I visit that website, it knows what I like. Thereafter, what it does, it serves me something else, and I read that. In the meantime, a video pops up, a cartoon comes. So this is how things come one after another on your mobile phones or your tablets or your phone. I mean, digitally when you use internet. So this is how the content which I was talking about, the contents one after another keeps on popping up before you, and you keep on reading. You must have come across sometimes in your life that there is a particular kind of environment you come across that it appears that this is how everything is going on in country. If you read about violence, only violence is coming up, and you think that the environment of this country has totally gone haywire, and nothing is in control anymore. That may not be true. That is not at all true. What happens is that based on our browsing history, one thing after another keeps on popping up, and what we see that this is how things are transpiring. So this is basically customized delivery of contents. This is what we need to understand. Now, when we talk about customized delivery of contents, we need to understand who is delivering that content. In today's time, the old media, the television, does not hold much meaning. One particular set of people say that it is Lutyens media. Another set of people say that this is Godi media. So basically what happens is, in this noise, we forget that basically we are the audience. It is us for whom all this is running. If a television channel is running a news item, it is for whom? It is for the audience. And who is the audience? We are the audience. So be it right, be it left, be it any ideology, basically we are the audience. If we do not get influenced, their efforts are meaningless. And if we get influenced by either of them, whoever influences us, that set of people, those set of people are successful. However, we need to understand that amidst this noise, that one set of media is Lutyens media, the second set of media is Godi media. The actual fact remains hidden, and the fact is that television channels does not hold much importance in today's time, because we hardly spend time before television, and when we watch television, we know based on the kind of news we want to listen to, we switch channels. So it doesn't hold much importance because we are now aware that particular channel advocates for particular political party, and another channel advocates another set of people, another political party. But nobody talks about how these websites are running. Have you ever wondered that a news channel that has got a license for satellite news channel, I mean satellite license they have got, they are running website. Running a website does not cost much, but yes, creation of content costs a lot. The content, the word that you heard in that video, content costs a lot, be it any ideology. So a news channel, a company, a private company that has license to run satellite channels is running a website. Why? Because television today does not hold much importance. We read news items, and that news items are replicated in various websites. For example, if a news item comes on Times of India, I'm not labeling any news channel for any ideology. However, if I'm just quoting a random example, suppose X website publishes Y news on its website, what happens? That gets copy pasted, and there are hundreds of websites that are running the same news item, same content. If you just Google, if you select a set of news, and if you Google it, you will find that there are hundreds of websites that have the same news. So why is this happening? Because this is happening because the idea is to propagate that content. And once a person goes to that news item, there is something search engine optimization. You keep on going and it keeps on, it makes that content very popular. So this is a technical part. What I draw your attention to is that the websites, people who are delivering, we need to give a thought on who are the people who are running the websites. I will share my screen. And I'll show that how people have been investing in opinion portals. I don't call it news portals. I call these websites as news opinion portals. There has been huge investment. And one example of that is there's a website uh, called newslaundry.com. You must have come across a website called newslaundry.com. The company that runs this website, it has raised fund from one of the networks from United States. It is very interesting that you must have come across a company named eBay. It is a very popular company in the United States of America, eBay. So it has a fund. The founder of that company is some Omidyar, and Omidyar has Omidyar Network, and Omidyar Network has funds to invest for philanthropy. That network uh, gives fund to Indian opinion portals for propagating independent journalism. This is fine. An American interested in developing independent journalism in India may be okay. But what raises question is that the network that is worried about development of free journalism in India, what is that company doing in United States? That is something we should ask. However, we don't even know who runs that website. A fact that I would share with you is, I'll share the screen and I'll show that the founder of this Omidyar network, who gives fund to various news portals, opinion portals in India for free journalism, for developing free journalism in the country, that person also gave funds, sponsored a news website in Ukraine 10 years back. I'll share the screen and you'll get the details. So that website, which received fund from Omidyar, it started working for independent journalism in Ukraine. And the result was that gradually people started revolting against that particular government. If you Google it, this is in public domain. And if you go and search, you will find these things. And very soon what happened is people revolted, and the government, which was a pro-Russia government, it was toppled, and a pro-US government was installed there. Now, when pro-US government was installed in Ukraine, Russia attacked Ukraine and they captured Crimea. So that's a different story altogether. But what I am trying to bring to your notice is that this particular network that funds various news portals, various opinion portals in India, was accused of sponsoring revolutionary groups in Ukraine in the garb of giving funds for independent journalism in that country. I'll share the screen and you will be able to view it. Please have a look on your screen. Can you view this?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes. I'm just showing it so that it can be understood. Website Pandora Daily published a story Friday reporting. I'm just highlighting that. Reporting that Omidyar, along with the US government, had bankrolled groups active in opposing the recently toppled government of Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Omidyar is also funding First Look, a budding media colossus to the tune of $250 million. So this is how there were allegations that were made. Now, yes. So now, in the name of independent journalism, there are a lot of activities that are taking place. There are corporate houses, there are political parties, and there are other people who have vested interest. The importance of this digital media is such that there are companies who have registered companies for developing contents in regional languages. I'm repeating that. There are companies, opinion websites, who have registered their companies, various companies, for developing content, opinion contents in regional languages like Bengali, Malayalam, Tamil, and other such languages. So we need to understand that when a private limited company works in any domain, the primary purpose is for profit. So if a company is working for profit, and especially for developing content, so we need to understand how things can be connected. How various dots, if we connect the various dots, it becomes very clear that making profit is definitely one objective, but at the same time, when that company is serving ready-made opinions, it is also influencing people's opinion. When it is influencing people's opinion, it certainly it affects the decision making of individuals of the country. When the decision making capacity of an individual is influenced, certainly that translates into how a person votes, how a person selects a particular representative, how a person chooses a particular political party. So a corporate working in an area which can directly affect the voting pattern, which can affect like formation of the government, it is really alarming. We need to understand this. We need to clearly understand that it is basically opinion that we are getting into. It is not fact. If we are given facts, we can analyze and form our opinion. And definitely, if intellectuals like you all get a bare fact to be analyzed, you will be analyzing as per your own independent thought. But that is not the case today. Whatever is being served using this digital media means any, like, using videos, using cartoons, using messages, WhatsApp, using stories, using podcast, using various movies. You see a small play, a 5-minute play you get to see wherein the artist critiques somebody. So that is also a part of new media and digital media. And when it is converted into a digital file and circulated, it is directly influencing your thought. So we need to understand this. Now, how a person having vested interest works in this area, I will show you that. I don't want to overload this conversation with a lot of information. I think, when Mr. Prashant said that 45 minutes should be enough, I just thought that even 1 hour 45 minutes would not be enough, because the kind of information that is there to be shared, it is massive. However, what I'm trying to do today is to just put before you, because this is a gathering which only needs a slight initiation. That's all. I don't need to push a lot of information. I think rest of the things can be taken care of. What I'll show you right now is how a same person, a same entity takes care of how this ideological information and various things are propagated in the society. I'll share my screen and I'll show you a website. Is it visible? Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
Yes. Now this is one NGO, and the name is Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation. This is very interesting. You can also search it later, but I'll just walk you through certain important things that I would like to highlight here. I'll take you to the donors. Who are the donors? Amir Khan, Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiative Private Limited, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Piramal Enterprises. These are big corporate houses of our country. Rohini Nilekani Philanthropies, Lal Family Foundation. So these are the people who are actually donating for this independent and public spirited media foundation. Now, let me take you elsewhere. Board of Trustees. Mr. Amol Palekar. I have watched a lot of movies. Mr. Amol Palekar is one of the trustees. I'll just walk you through the trustees. These are the trustees. Now I'll take you through what are the portals which are funded by this NGO. I'll just walk you through in a minute. The rationale for the foundation. The efficacy of democracy is directly linked to the vibrancy and the freedom of its media. The media is first and foremost watchdog. So this is basically the rationale behind this foundation. When we talk about democracy, it cannot be isolated from politics. I'm sure you all will agree. When we talk about democracy, we cannot isolate it from selection of your representative, from your voting rights. It cannot be segregated from it. So there are this NGO has program manager for content. An NGO that doesn't run any portal has a manager which deals with content. A former journalist with Deccan Herald. You look here, I've just highlighted a senior program manager content. So, and see, and look here, this is program manager for analytics. Now I'll take you to grantees portfolio. Which all websites do they fund? If you can view it. I hope it is visible. This is EPW, I'm sure. Most of the people here in the gathering today must have referred to.
No, sir, it is not visible.
It's not visible?
No, sir.
Okay, just give me a moment. I think once I change the tab, it changes. It stops sharing. Yes. Now this this NGO, which I was talking about. I'm just showing the website. This is the grantees. I mean, these are the companies, these are the portals who are granted fund by this NGO. EPW is one of the renowned one. I'm sure, like most of the academicians, refer to this weekly. EPW. These are the websites. And now this is very interesting. You see this Caravan, the Caravan, a journal for politics and culture, the Wire, the Print. These are the portals which are generally considered to be left inclined. However, this is there, Swaraj, Read India Right. This is considered to be right inclined. So this is very interesting that the same NGO funds, like, two different kind of portals for developing the content. The Carva, the Wire, the Print considered to be left inclined, and Swaraj considered to be right. Both are being funded by the same NGO, and both are both are into competition to demolish each other if we see it like online. Now I have shared this so that we understand how things are working. Actually, we also need to understand this, that we are not paying to read all these websites, and when we do not pay for a product, it is us who are basically the product. So an organization funding different funding portals of different ideology per se for developing contents, and both the contents are being served to us only. It is for us, it is for nobody else. So basically we are the product, because what we do, we get free of cost contents to read, and we form our opinion based on those information. So this is how things have been working. What I'll do is now, I think it is an opportune time that we should interact so that you can raise questions. I think, I have shared enough information that will certainly give a reason for you all to think how this is operating. And before we proceed to a dialogue, there is something I would really like to tell you is that whatever is happening, the kind of information that we are getting, the kind of opinions that we are being served with, it is part of information warfare. I reiterate that whatever is happening, whatever information that we are getting that is polarizing this country is basically information warfare. Like in the olden days, what used to happen is, like, I'm talking about centuries back, whenever, like, a tribe used to attack another tribe, or like, they used to go for war, what they used to do is every soldier used to carry two mashal, the torch that we say mashal, at night. So what used to depict is that when one person used to carry two mashal, it used to show, like, in dark it would appear that there is, like, the double the number of people are there, basically to deceive the enemy. This is how they used to fight, and they used to cry very loud, so that it would appear that lot many people are coming and they are very aggressive. And also generally attacks would happen at night. Why? Because when you don't see the enemy becomes more dangerous. The same is the case with this digital media. In this era of ideological differences, when we don't see the enemy who is serving and who is trying to influence, not only trying, is basically successfully influencing our thoughts, that enemy, if that enemy is not visible, that enemy becomes more dangerous, because it is within us and we do not know it. We are carrying it in our pocket, but we do not know. So this information warfare is propagation of information that can make people fight, that can create a disharmony in the society, and wherein people themselves can destroy themselves. There has been cases wherein the Prime Minister of Pakistan has tweeted something that happened in Bangladesh in the name of it happening in Uttar Pradesh. Why? because they want to create that kind of, basically this is using a digital media for the purpose of information warfare. So we need to understand now, whenever we come across any information, we have to look towards it with a very critic point of view. Let us not accept it. Let us not imbibe it right away. This is what my request to all the audience here is. We need to be very, very rational when we are reading a news item, because that news item, if we get it as a fact, we can analyze it. But if it is served in the form of opinion in a such a smart way that we cannot identify whether it is a fact or an opinion, then that becomes really, really dangerous. So now what we'll do, we will have an interaction. If any of the gentlemen or audience here wants to raise a question, they can raise, and I will be glad to answer the questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, first of all, I must thank you because you have presented a very in-depth study of what is going on in the virtual warfare. My first one thing I need a clarification. My first clarification that I need is that you have shared your first video showing two people. I am not going to name them. And don't you think that there are some people who will ask, Bharat puchta hai aap kyun aisa dikhaya?
I'm with you. I am with you. I'm with you on that. That's why I said that let us not talk about who is doing. Everybody is doing the same. Somebody calls Lutein Media. Somebody calls Godi Media. So both the parties are doing the same. There's absolutely no difference between who is doing what.
Don't you notice any difference between the young guys who are reporting from the ground, showing photographs and live pictures from the battleground anywhere in Delhi or UP or anywhere, and the people who are shouting in the studios? Is there no difference between them?
Yeah, absolutely. See, the purpose of today's discussion is that we should be able to identify what is real and what is unreal, what is right and what is not right, irrespective of what kind of clothes that person is wearing, irrespective of which party that person belongs to, which ideology that person belongs to.
Yes.
What matters is what is right and what is wrong. It is not about right and left. It is about right and wrong. So if a person is showing something from the ground, we should be able to accept it. If it is real, it is absolutely real. How can somebody deny it?
And in the studio, they are trying to create some kind of alternative reality. And we are enmeshed by their shouting, and they are jumping and shouting, and we are tired of them.
I agree with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your very clear vision and very in-depth study that you have presented. Thank you, sir. We need people like you these days.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. This is S.M. Viswas from Department of History.
Yes, sir.
I have very much enlightened by your lecture. But my one question is, media being a fourth estate of a democratic setup, do you think that the role of neutrality should be handled by the media in the age of ideological differences? Because we, the people, get first-hand information from the newspapers or any kind of electronic media. So if they influence us in one way or other, so how can we think that this is right or this is wrong? So don't you think that the role of neutrality should be handled carefully by the media nowadays?
I completely agree with you. And the question that you have raised is it's very valid. How do we identify what is right and what is wrong? I have been trying to figure out how exactly to do it, and I'll share what I have observed. In my opinion, if you ask me, how do I figure out what is right and what is wrong when I come across a news item? News item would not be right to call it. It is an opinion item, basically. We need to figure out, first of all, who is writing it. Because when we go through the website, we do not know which company is publishing it, which company owns that website. When we read the article, we don't even bother to know who is writing it. What is the antecedent of that person? I'll share a very interesting story with you. The founder of newslaundry.com, it's a very popular website, newslaundry.com. The founder of newslaundry.com, she happens to be from a very influential family. It is up to you to go ahead and find it. The lady, she has been a founding editor of one of the leading print media companies. a founding editor. Her antecedent, I'll share with you in brief so that we can understand how things run. The lady, what she did back in 2000, 20 years back, what she did, she ranked the judges of Delhi High Court based on the personal attributes. Can you imagine judges of a high court being ranked based on the personal attribute? It was incorrect, and suo motu, High Court of Delhi took cognizance and contempt proceedings were instituted. She was found guilty and she rendered apology and she was pardoned by the court. Now, when we look from democracy point of view, when we erode faith in judiciary, I think that is the worst, that is a sin that cannot be pardoned. When the credibility of judges are attacked, no matter what, we can call names to particular judges if we want, but we cannot abuse judiciary as a whole. Likewise, if I draw an analogy, if we say that, if police officer commits atrocity on an individual, we can certainly call that policeman a criminal, but we cannot say that police is useless. Police is criminal. We cannot generalize in that fashion.
But sir, he is the product of the system. He is a product of the system. He is a product of the system, sir. The policeman or the judge is a product of the system.
That is right. That is right. But if we start questioning the entire institution, do we have another institution in place? That is another question. It would lead to another debate. But what I'm trying to what I'm trying to tell you is that when we come across anything, we have to keep our eyes open so that we can figure out what are the antecedents of that person. If a person, for example, in our daily life, when somebody tells us something, don't we say that, oh, 5 times earlier you were wrong, so this time if I do a trend analysis, this time also you must be lying. We generally do that. We practice that in our daily lives. So whenever something is coming before us, we need to understand where is it coming from, the company that is publishing that particular content, what is the background. The way I said that Omidyar network has indulged in sponsoring revolutionaries in different countries. If that person is sponsoring somebody in India, a person who is basically a capitalist, how come he is working for philanthropy and for development of independent media, not in his country but in India? This is a question that I have, and I need to be satisfied. So similarly, what I do is I figure out which company is publishing it, who is the person who has written it, what is the background. But this is a task too tedious. It is just not practically possible to go ahead and figure out every time. It is very tiresome. And especially when we are using a mobile phone or tablet, when we go to sleep, the last thing that we do is we read something. Actually, in fact, I do, I read something before I go to sleep. So I'm sure everybody who comes from this domain of academics, research scholars and teachers, definitely you're fond of reading. Subconsciously or consciously, you will land up reading something. So what I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to make you understand is that we need to figure out, we need to keep our eyes open, that we do not get carried away. If we can check not being carried away, I think we have done half the job.
Thank you, sir. But it's a very difficult job for our
I agree.
People who actually go through the news every day. Actually, it's very difficult to choose, isn't it?
I agree. I think and we all being educated and being here, I think we have a lot of responsibilities of taking care of it. It is indeed, it is challenging. I won't call it difficult. It is very challenging. That is what I can say.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, happy to see you, Dibyansu sir, after so long. I'm Dr.
Thank
Hemant
you.
Kumar Das. I teach in Sambalpur University, Odisha. So when we talk about ideological differences, it is there inherent in the Indian system or a kind of Indian way of life since time immemorial. But in recent time, when we are talking about digital media and the ascent or the kind of accidental endeavors of us in the digital era, what do you think, being a lawyer, is the fine line of freedom of speech? Suppose, for example, when a student movement crops up and the government tries to delimit the the constraints made by students. According to you, what do you think should be or who should be the stakeholder who decides what is freedom of speech, or what is the fine line of freedom of speech, where it should end and where it should commence again? Your opinion, sir. Thank you.
All right. This is a very tricky question, Dr. Hemant. And the fine line is something that is trying, like, every individual, like in every country, everywhere, this fine line is, like, yet to be discovered. That is a very, 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 very catchy question that you have asked me. However, what I believe is that you can like, unfold your hands to the extent that it does not hurt somebody else. So the freedom, like, the fundamental rights that we have, it is not absolute. I'm sure you will agree with that. So when we talk about like, freedom of speech, let me take it to fundamental rights altogether. Freedom means that, unfolding your hands only to the extent that it does not hit somebody else's face and break his teeth. So I think, this is what I can say about this. And that fine line is yet to be discovered. Yes, there has to be enough freedom for people to dissent. If somebody is saying something, a person should have, like, the right to protest, of course, to right to raise voice against some opinion. Yes, that freedom must be there. But yes, if you start abusing an individual, that certainly cannot come under the ambit of freedom of speech. And I think, I know you, like, I have got an opportunity to meet you in the past as well. And I'm sure that you'll agree that it is something that has to be decided by an individual.
Yes.
And as far as stakeholders are concerned, we are a set of people in society. Everybody has an opinion, and that is what the beauty of our society is. And I think, when a person claims as a stakeholder that I'm a stakeholder and I'll say that you are wrong, I think that also comes under the ambit of freedom of speech. So I think, we should live to that extent.
Right to ask questions, sir. Right to ask question. That is.
Yeah. Yes,
right
of
to
course.
Ask question. That we
yes,
did.
Absolutely. Individuals
will
should
not
have
be labeled as anti-national or.
No. I completely disagree with that. If somebody is asking question, like, the person has a right to ask a question, and he should get an answer, and a reasonable one. So if somebody raises question, that person, if somebody is labeling as anti-national, I think that person is out of his senses.
Thank you, sir.
I hope that answers your question, Dr. Hemant.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Sir, my name
Sir,
is
another question.
So you
Yes,
carry on. I'll ask this next time.
No. Thank you. Zamima ji, please go ahead. Please ask me.
Okay.
Sir, my name is Aima Parveen. I'm a student of Vidhan Chandra College from Political Science Department. And after watching the news and everything, it's pretty clear that the role of the media, the main media, it has changed. Like, they don't only provide us information regarding what's happening. They just become, just judges and just give us the judgment that they are the criminals and they are wrong and they are right. So there should be a censor board or anyone like to keep on check on them, as not everyone is so much, not free or educated to go through who is right and who is wrong and who is influencing us. So there should be someone, right?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And see, this is actually a subject of debate, and that has been going on from quite some time. You are absolutely correct. It is not like, media trial is not justified. A media, a news channel or a newspaper cannot hold somebody guilty as per his own whims and fancies. I completely disagree with that. Addressing somebody addressing the Chief Justice of India from the studio, I find it very absurd. So I completely agree with you that this is incorrect. And I think, these are the things that have created a lot of noise in the country. And I think these are the things that has caused for us to discuss this today at this forum. So
yes, sir, please. There is a question, sir. In order to kill a dragon, we will be creating another dragon.
Absolutely. That is right. I mean, see, the cure cannot be worse than the disease. If the cure becomes worse than the disease, I think it is problematic itself. I completely agree with that.
Well, another question from my part, that this is something different. That is to say that how the higher echelon of judiciary, that is the Supreme Court, is handling the media today as far as the neutrality is concerned.
See, let me not comment on how Supreme Court is taking care of all this thing. I think it will lead to a different debate, and I think we can have a separate discussion for that. So I think we should not take this topic today, because it is a subject that we can certainly, if you all wish, we can discuss this. We can have a talk on that also on a separate occasion. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of deliberations. There are a lot of discussions that are required, especially among the intellectuals. It is very, very necessary.
Okay, thank you, sir.
There is a questions from YouTube.
Oh, please.
Okay, so the question is, so the question is asked by Abronil Bishwas. He is asking that you have mentioned digital media platforms share their opinions and not thoughts of some learned persons, but is it not a democratization? It is not a democratization of opinions. Sir, I want to know three most credible new media group in India. Though we know no one is independent. This is from Praveen Singh. Sir, please.
All right. As far as the first question is concerned, the first is like democratization, right? If I'm correct, Prashantji.
Yes, yes.
Can you repeat that first question again?
Yes, sir, sure, sir, sure. Sure. So the first question is, you have mentioned digital media platforms share their opinions and not thoughts of some learned persons. But is it not a democratization of opinions?
Yes. Now, this is a very good question. I never said that. See, digital media is basically a medium. The digital media is basically a medium. It's not opinion website I'm talking about. Through digital media, various opinion websites are being propagated. Various articles, various opinions are being spoon-fed to people, to the audience who are browsing through their various social media platforms or otherwise. So, first of all, I never said that intellectuals or credible people don't write. They do write, but we need to understand who are the people who are writing. Not necessarily everything I can agree with somebody who is of repute. Not necessarily. If a person of repute is saying something, it is not essential that I agree with it. I have this right to disagree, but I should know who the person is, first thing. Secondly, democratization. Absolutely. Everybody has freedom of, right to express themselves. They have freedom of expression. It is absolutely democratization of the opinion. It is completely, I'm in agreement with that. However, when a particular set of people, they come together and when they try to influence somebody else's opinion, expressing ourselves is a different thing. If you go ahead and write something on your Facebook, it has a different meaning. But when in an orchestrated manner, opinion are being spoon-fed to a certain section of people, who can be identified based on their location, based on their likings, based on their religion, then that's a problem. So what I am doing, I am just warning that we should not get carried away by what we are coming across, because it is not us who are choosing what we are reading on our digital devices. It is basically being fed to our screen. We need to understand that the digital devices and the digital media works in a fashion wherein your liking, the other person knows. I have discussed this in detail. So we have to be aware that what we are reading, it may not be true. As another example I would like to cite is, there was Palghar lynching that took place. Everybody knows about it. One section of people came across a video where lynching was happening. Another set of people came across the same video with a particular name of people hailing from a particular religion. So one set of people viewing another like a different video, and another set of people viewing another video. And that created clash on digital media, on social media platforms. There were a lot of arguments, and people came across and they started fighting. So we need to understand that democratization, if you express, it is perfectly fine. Everybody has the right to express through every medium that a person can use. But hijacking the opinion of a certain section of people is what I am not okay with. I hope that answers the question.
Then, sir, what is the remedy?
Sir, we have another questions. So the question is asked by Ajit Kumar. Can you throw light on power of digital media as well as closeness of state and digital media?
Could you just repeat the last part of the question? Power of digital media and?
Power of digital media and its association with the state, and how state uses digital media, something like that.
See, the power of digital media is that it can influence
power of digital media and as well as closeness of state and digital media.
Yes. See, the power of digital media in isolation, if I say, is such that it can influence our opinion, and based on our opinion, our decision-making capability can be influenced. I don't think anything can be more powerful than this. Secondly, closeness with, as far as state is concerned, it is a very sensitive issue. Like, I would like to quote what happened in United States during the elections, during the general elections there. Twitter and all social media platforms, they banned Donald Trump. So what they did, they cut him off from the society, from from communication. The communication was abruptly severed. So if we look from that perspective, if state owns such social media platforms, or or opinion making platforms, it can certainly cause a lot of issues. As far as closeness is concerned, let me not get into that. It's not about closeness. It's about whether state has intervention in such digital media, digital media platforms, social media platforms. That is the question. If a private company has this power today to cut us off from communication, if we are, for example, if Google blocks any of us today, we will not be able to communicate. We are over Google Meet today. So if private companies can do that, and if the same power vests with the government, I think it is going to be very dangerous. I don't know how things will transpire. This thing has to be deliberated upon, and I think, in sooner or later, we are going to have a massive law or rule coming up for this. And I think, we should move in that direction as well, because this is extremely important. That today our communication is at ransom with a private company. Google is a private company, and Google Meet that we are using today, we are at mercy of Google right now. So if we replace Google with the government, we can just imagine what can happen. I post something digitally, and I see that 1,000 people have seen it, but in fact, it is not even one person who has seen it. It is possible. It is very much possible technically. You post something, 5 lakh people viewed, or maybe 5 lakh retweets. In fact, it may not be true. It is possible. It's very much possible. So how are these things going to transpire? It is something that that we have to be watchful about.
PK sir, do you have some questions, sir? PKB sir.
Yes, I have asked questions. I have got clarification.
So we have another announcement. Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj, former chairperson from the Center for South Asian Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, has joined us. Sir, I welcome this national webinar. Sir, I kindly request you, if you have some observation, please share with us, sir. That would be a great moment for all of us. Sir, now the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for this. But I'm just enjoying Advocate Divyanshu Pandey's lecture. So please let me enjoy it. Thank you very much for this opportunity to listen him. It was wonderful opportunity, and many of my concepts and ideas about the digital media and how the ideological divides are taking place in the country. So thank you very much for sharing the platform. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And now we shall proceed for vote of thanks. For the vote of thanks, may I now invite our student and coordinator, one of the coordinators of this program, Ms. Jamima Parveen, to kindly deliver a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. It is a great honor to extend a vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this one-day national webinar such a resounding success. First of all, we would like to extend our profound gratitude to our Vice Principal, Dr. Ramesh Kar sir, the head of the institution, for granting his permission and giving us constant support and encouragement toward the successful conduct of this webinar. We extend our heartiest thanks to distinguished speaker, Mr. Divyanshu Pandey sir, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, for not only sparing his invaluable time, but also for enlightening us with his commendable and constructive knowledge. It gave a deeper insight to topic role of digital media in the era of ideological differences, and also revealed some interesting facts. Thank you so much for being with us and for accepting our invitation. Now we would like to thank President of the governing body of our college, Dr. Sudipta Roy sir, and all the members of the governing body and their constant moral support to our webinar. Our thanks also go to the coordinator of the IQAC, Professor Sadhuna Kundu sir, and acknowledge the unwavering support and guidance received from our beloved head of the department, Professor Devdas De sir. We would like to extend our sincere and heartiest thanks to Professor Prashant Kumar Sharma, sir, Assistant Professor of the Department of Political Science and convener, for taking up the initiative and organize this one-day national webinar. And we would like to thank Ms. Dr. Abdul Khalik sir, Assistant Professor of Department of Physics, for performing his responsibility in the best possible manner as a technical advisor. Our thanks also go to Professor Umnesh Mondal for providing technical assistance to our webinar. Our vote of thanks also go to the Professor of the Department of Political Science, Professor Dept Maji sir, Professor Kamal Roy sir, and Professor Anandita Mitra ma'am, for their constant support in organizing this webinar. Our sincere thanks also go to all the respected professors of all the departments and all the non-teaching staff of our college for their moral support. A special thanks goes to all the students of the Department of Political Science for enthusiastically coordinating and supporting the webinar by showing fervent interest from the very beginning. Last but not the least, our sincere thanks goes to all the respected participants present here for their active encouragement and making this webinar a huge success. Thank you so much. Once again, we would like to state that we are grateful to the speaker for being with us this evening. It has been a great pleasure for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamima. I also acknowledge the active involvement played by both of the coordinators, Ms. Jamima Parveen and M. Suresh Murthy, since the beginning for the preparation of this national webinar. I once again thank you to all the participants for their enthusiastic participation to this national webinar. We are looking forward to your gracious presence with us in our forthcoming national webinars. So I again thank you all.
Good night, sir.
খালেক স্যার স্টপ করে দিই